Hey everyone, before we get started on this week's episode, we wanted to make sure you knew about a collaboration that we did with Nice Gaming TV. He's a good friend of ours, good content creator for Ashes of Creation, and for us, we got to collaborate and did a video, and it was called How Important is Lore? So make sure you go check that out. It's on his YouTube channel, Nice Gaming TV. Enjoy the episode, folks. Good morning, Night City! Wait, wrong game. Welcome, this is LoreForged Live, the podcast for Ashes of Creation. We're your host. This episode, what is it, 37? It's 37. Welcome, everybody. So stoked to have you all here. Thank you all for pushing play, hanging out with us, and welcome everybody at Twitch chat. Over here, we're doing this live at LoreForged Live on Twitch. And we are your hosts. I am Jibs, and I'm joined by Sonny.
Hello. I have a funny story that just popped into my head right this very second, but it's too long to do before we introduce Cash.
Does it involve someone following you to your driveway?
Yeah, no. This was not
3 episodes ago
that I caused myself to be like seriously imperiled. That is not what happened here. It is a good story though. So go ahead and introduce Cash, and we'll do this thing.
And hailing from SoCal, Cash is here.
I love the stealthy way you work it in there. Just real quick, just get the bald guy introduced so that I can tell my story.
Well, I mean, at least he's honest.
Do you want to talk about traffic? Is that what you want to do?
Bro, I want to carpet bomb traffic is what I want to do. So let's not talk about traffic. The one thing that's going to help me forget about traffic is this Yellowstone-sized pour.
Oh, yeah, it's a thick
that
one.
my wife did for me. And if you don't know what a Yellowstone pour is, if you ever watched the show Yellowstone, they pour a massive amount of whiskey in their glass. So when I got home, my wife had my computer turned on, my board turned on, didn't turn on the lights because that's a little more complicated than she wants to get into. But she had a glass of whiskey poured for me, ready to go for the show. So cheers to my wife, Molly, for being amazing.
That's awesome. Look at her.
Now, did she pour it in your fancy LoreForged glass, though?
This one is actually, I think that one is in the dishwasher. This one is it's hard to see, but it's my World of Warcraft Alliance.
Oh, I see the lion. I see it.
Yeah,
yep.
Kind of hard. There's a lion there.
Really is a pretty mug. Groovy. Or a glass.
Not better than my LoreForged one, but it holds some whiskey.
Sure does.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, again, welcome everybody. Again, thank you so much for pushing play, hanging out with us. We love you all. And all of you here at Twitch, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate every single one of you. This is a special episode. We are doing these, it seems like once a month. It seems like everybody really enjoys it. So we're bringing it back. It's live at happy hour number 3. For those of you who don't know what that is, well, we give literally the entire episode to our patrons. And so we're doing that today. But before we get started, Sonny, did you have a story that you yeah, okay.
I do. First of all, yes. By the way, the live from happy hour shows, I was saying this on the stream earlier today, they are my favorite shows. They are absolutely my favorite shows. And I think they are honestly some of our best shows because
they're fun.
When the people in the Patreon pick the questions, they're just spectacular. But anyway, I got a very quick story for you that is actually Ashes related because so last year I ran a marathon, and basically my feet have not worked correctly since then. It was a questionably bad decision to do it in the first place, but I did it nonetheless. And my right foot has been killing me since then. I took a bunch of time off. And finally Kelly's just like, you got to make an appointment with like a foot doctor. You got to figure out if there's like actual damage in there. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I make the appointment with the foot doctor. I wait like 3 weeks without doing anything. And then last night I like couldn't remember exactly where the pain was. So Kelly's like, well, just run to the end of the lane. And she was talking about the end of the driveway. I didn't realize that. I ran like a half mile down the road and back. And I come back and I was
just run to the end of the street and re-break your pressure fracture.
Exactly. Precisely. So then I can point exactly. It's right here. So that's pretty much exactly what happened. Was that it hurt like hell. And I came back in, I took a Sharpie marker and I put right on there. Now I've been like prodding and messing with it the whole time. So I go to the doctor and the doctor's like, well, does it hurt when you like manipulate it? And I said, no, it really doesn't. I can't. It's just right here though. It's in this spot in this like joint here. And so he sticks his finger like way in there and pushes down. And I'm like, yep, it sure does.
Found it.
Did you punch him in the face?
Got it in one.
So he goes, oh yeah, right there. That's the sub-Tulnar. And I was like, I look at him and it was, no, he wasn't actually saying the sub-Tulnar. What it is the sub-Tular. I did not hear that. And it was everything I could do not to look at this grown man physician and say, there's a place under the underrealm.
Well, actually, the Tuldar are made from four distinct races.
So I'm just sitting there looking at him and I'm like, and meanwhile, he's looking at me like there's something seriously wrong with this dude. And so, long story short, the x-rays are fine. He gave me a shot like a horse. So I guess I'm good for like 3 months. And then if something bad happens after that, then, you know, I'll come back in, but I should be good.
Wow. That's so funny.
Yeah. Sub-Tulnar. Turns out not
I love
Tulnar.
it. And you're like, you nailed that, Doc, because you know they are from the subterranean realm.
That's true. Nice work, Doc. Anyway, that's my story.
Oh, that's good. Gosh, that's good. You can get a second opinion from Burns. Where's Dr. Burns at?
That's right.
Lore master podiatrist you got there.
There you go. Oh, that is good. Well, hey, before we get started, just a quick FYI to everybody who is listening. And I'm doing this from memory because I forgot to put it in the notes. But tomorrow, if you're listening on release day, so Monday, so tomorrow is the next development update live stream. And I believe it's Night Cycles and Wand Weapon combos. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But anyway, that is going to be going on. So make sure you check it out.
Speaking of which, have you guys seen the insane video that somebody put out breaking down the release date of Alpha 2 based off of the Midnight Madness tweet that Steven put out?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, I don't know who this person is. Yeah. It is on YouTube, and it is it's Midnight Magic. It's the single craziest video I've ever seen. This guy gets into numerology and ancient Greeks and all of this stuff, breaking down. He's adding numbers together. It is like they made me watch it, and it is absolute insanity.
This guy sounds like our peeps.
Yes,
I kind of want to watch this now.
Rogue put the link in there, and the guy's name is Grappler. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It seriously is insane. Yeah, you can watch it after the show. But yeah, this is I needed to add this into the show because, like, it is so wild that I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to look at it. I don't know if he's serious. He probably isn't, but it's insanity. Pure insanity.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
You're gonna love it.
Well, I got a random DM the other day before we get started, and I really wanted to make sure, because I know there's some people here from the community that I was not expecting. So last episode we were talking about the oh my gosh, Gilded House, the RP group, right? Well, Cersei, their GM, DM'd me out of the blue. I was at work. I was working. I thought, it's Cersei from Game of Thrones DMing me? Like, what's happening right now?
Shame. Shame.
Don't tell her brother.
Shame. Just walking through the street, shaming her.
What out of all things to pull? That's what you pull?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of the visuals that I have in my head. Is that Thrones forever?
Oh man. Cersei.
Wow. So anyway,
such a nice lady.
So anyway, it was so nice and DM'd me, and I guess they had seen that we talked about the Guild House, wanted to share it on their socials, blah blah blah. So it was like, of course, go for it, absolutely. And so they did, and it was really really nice. Well, later I get a DM from Dez, which Dez, I think you're in chat here, talking about that there's a Ashes roleplay community on Discord, which I knew nothing about. So I got
what?
Yeah, got an invite. We joined it, and then a few minutes, like a day later, we were all in it. And then Cash, you joined it. You got to see all the cool stuff they've got going on there.
Yeah, it was for me. It was midweek, and nowadays my midweek is filled with a lot of work. So I have to sneak it in on lunch breaks and stuff. But yeah, I was able to join up on the Ashes Roleplay Community Discord, which they call ARC for short, and I was really impressed. Looking through some stuff, and even listening to, sometimes I forget the things that we cover on our show. So I like to listen to our show before the next one to bone up on stuff that I might have forgotten. And we had a pretty dang good discussion about role play on last week's show. So being able to get into the Ashes Roleplay community, first of all, being hand invited was really, really cool. But being able to get in there and just kind of see the things that they have going on in there, really what they're trying to do is just get role players for Ashes of Creation to realize where their people are at. And I'll tell you right now, your people are in this Ashes Roleplay Community Discord. So get over there. I mean, there is some of the things that I really, really enjoyed, even as a new to medium type role player myself, is that an RP classroom where they will teach you how to RP and all the little idiosyncrasies of being able to RP from the very, very beginnings of just understanding what some of the terminology is and how to write things in text chat. Very cool. There's a character creation channel to help you flesh out your character and create your character. There's the ability to advertise for your own role-playing guild. That's in there. There's actual roleplay taking place, which I started breezing through, and I was like, oh, this is freaking cool. And there's a dice rolling channel for said RP channel. So anyway, it was pretty cool, the things that they have set up over there. And on top of that, the entire community was very, very welcoming to all three of us. And we just thought that was a really cool thing. And I think for us, the way that we're structuring our guild without giving too much, we're really kind of finding that these are our people, the people that want to add an extra layer, another dimension to their role play or to their Ashes of Creation experience through a bit of role play. These are our people. And I think collectively, all three of us want these folks to have a good voice. And role play really can add so much to your game, and you don't have to be a hardcore role player to take advantage of some of the really cool things that role play can do. So, us as a team here at LoreForged, we want to grab onto that, not only because we're fans of it, but I think in a lot of games and a lot of the games that we have covered, you guys, we have just seen the role play community sometimes fall by the wayside or, not be lifted up where they need to be. These are folks who are creating stories from the skeleton of the game's story. And, some of these guilds have full blown scripts and stories that made their guild come to be in the world. So it's just such a really, really neat thing. I don't want to, take too much of the time here, but I want to hear what you guys think about it. I've just been really, really impressed with the Ashes Roleplay community on Discord.
Well, you were so impressed that we put a link in at our LoreForged.com landing page. So we have a link tree basically at LoreForged.com, but we put a link in there, and I believe that's to the Discord. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So there's a link in there to the Discord. So if you guys are listening to this and you're like, yeah, I want to check this out, then go to LoreForged.com and you will find a link to that Discord because it's super cool. And I talked with Des, and I am probably of the three of us the least experienced in any of this stuff. And it's not necessarily my thing that I was looking for, but I will say this without any reservation whatsoever, that the people that do this stuff on a server make the world more colorful. They just do. There's like almost no downside to having these people exist in your server. It just makes a more fun experience for me. That's certainly it. And you know, I will take part in it a little bit, and I'm getting better at it. But I think it's just one of those things. We could do a whole show on this. About
We probably will.
We probably will do a whole show on this.
Yeah.
So like, I won't belabor the point, but I will say that, you know, even though it's not something that I've had a lot of experience with and don't have any like grandiose plans for, our guild is going to have some of this built into it just by the nature of adding a backstory. And, you know, stuff like this in the world just make it, like Des says, just a more immersive experience.
Yeah.
And I know that we want that. Like all three of us want that. We want Ashes to be an immersive experience.
Absolutely.
So, JB?
Yeah. And what better game to do this than Ashes of Creation, because there's so many things going on, and we're going to jump into that right now with a live at happy hour topic. So for all our patrons, they got to build this episode completely from top to bottom. We said, hey, we're doing live a happy hour again. You get to pick the topics. And this first one is a loaded topic. And so we're going to be sitting here for a little bit.
Doozy.
But yeah, we had to bone up on some of the stuff because we were just like, I forgot that was in the game. So this is from Fatal Syndicate. And he says, castles. A topic that most people seem to gloss over because the focus tends to be on nodes and mayorship. However, kings/queens in control of castles will have control of levers that affect 1/5 of the total map. How difficult do you think the bosses that control these castles will be? This is like a multi-question. Will it take a group of 20 that rush to max level in 2 weeks to kill it? Or do you think it'll take months of a team optimizing gear to take it down? And lastly, what are your thoughts on the way castle sieges are set up? Do you like the weekly caravan delivery idea? Okay, so before we really jump too much into this, what we want to do for everyone who's listening is kind of set you up with what castle.
What? Somebody say my name?
What the castle
Can you
sieges.
please refer to your house as the castle?
Done.
Be on your mailbox.
Yes.
Maybe like an iron gate. Oh, that's good. So we want to let you know what these were. So we're going to give you like a brief, like 3-minute description of how these work. So for those of you who don't know what castle sieges, now I just have to say it, what castle sieges are in Ashes of Creation.
Oh boy. You're still having trouble with the cash part.
Yep.
Is it because, are you looking at me when you're saying the word?
It's that glare off your head. Did you buff your head?
Don't
Did you use
do
the
that.
car buffer again?
It's the same glare that you have, Baldy.
Mine's arguably worse. Look at that. Can't
Definitely
really-
bigger.
Are you guys having a bald off? Is that what's happening here?
You're having a bald off. Oh, all right, so castle sieges. Guilds participate in castle sieges in an effort to capture and occupy one of the 5 guild castles in Ashes of Creation. A guild that captures a castle will own that castle for a month before it is sieged again. In the first 3 weeks that a guild occupies a castle, they will need to level up each of their castle nodes to village stage through questing. Now that's interesting. Each of the 3 castle nodes have a siege against it at the end of each of these 3 weeks.
So this was actually a part when we were researching this stuff. This was a part that that I was very interested in learning more about, because there is a caravan that takes place here at the end of the week. And straight from the wiki, it says at the end of each week leading up to a castle siege, there's a period of time during the weekend where NPC generated caravans start moving toward castle nodes. And this is what carries the taxes. And as soon as I thought that, I was like, oh, an NPC launched caravan. Is there a bigger target
Filled with gold.
You know it is. You know that thing, and now obviously everybody knows when that thing's coming out, it's got the guild taxes in it. So yeah, that's going to be a fat target on the roads in between.
Fattest.
Between these nodes. So Anyway, the enemies of the guild obviously have incentive to attack these caravans, so it is going to be incumbent upon the members of said node where that caravan is coming from to protect it. So, yeah, people, this is going to be a major point of contention, which leads up to these castle sieges. So, citizens of the nodes that fall under the purview of the castle are automatically registered as defenders. Like, are they not just sucking everybody into a massive venturi of battle? Like, just go this way. Just go this way.
It's called
Here's a carrot in front of you. This is this way to the war. That's how all this is working out. And I love that. And there's going to be quests that are going to be generated around it. So completing those quests are going to unlock services and functions useful to the occupying guild and its allies, as well as boosting the defenses for the castle.
All right, so I'm going to finish up the knowledge base here. The fourth week is Declaration Week, where the other guilds have the opportunity to lay down their declaration flag or to sign up as defenders of the castle. So basically, they're saying we either want to take the castle or we want to defend the castle. Depending on how well the guild defends the castle node, results in better defenses for the castle. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but this part does. Different siege weaponry will grant the attackers the ability to destroy walls, doors, and sections of the castle in order to gain access to the inner keep area. And when the castle changes hands, some taxes stay with the castle and some stay with the guild. So there's a lot going on here, right? Now, I find it interesting that we didn't know a lot about this because this seems like a pretty elaborate system. I mean, this seems right up there with node sieging, right? This whole 5 castle, layout on all of this stuff. And so I'm going to go back to the question that was originally asked here. And I'm going to start with the very beginning part of it because I think that very briefly, I want you to see if you can answer this question. It starts out before anybody really gets a hold of a castle that there is a mob boss in there, and somebody's has to get a hold of this thing. So do you think that that's going to be a formidable boss, or is it just kind of a placeholder until a guild can go ahead and knock this dude off and start the perpetual train of castle sieges?
Well, you said a mob boss. I mean, are we talking like a Al Capone type of mob boss, or like Goodfellas?
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
It's a big boss. I'm gonna sleep with the fishes. Nobody watched The Godfather?
Yeah, I was taking a drink. I was agreeing with you mentally. That's what was happening.
Luca Brasi.
Yeah, I think for me, this has got to be Guild Wars 2 style difficulty. So if you have ever played Guild Wars 2, and I'll just throw one out there specifically. There are these world bosses in the game, and a lot of people show up because it requires a lot of people to beat these just incredibly strong NPCs. And granted, they all like vary in size and whatnot. Like one is just as tall, maybe like a 10-foot man. The next one is a like legitimately 150-foot tall dragon with massive wings and is just crazy, right? Well, I don't need that kind of scale of a character, but I definitely feel like we should have that type of scale of difficulty. I feel like when you're doing something like this, it is an elaborate system, Sonny, you're right. And it really does affect a lot of Vera. So for me, I feel as though for something that's influential in Vera, that allows you to hold on to it for a month, long duration, it needs to be that Guild Wars 2 style difficulty where it requires a full raid team, at least one, at least minimum of one, probably at least 2, truthfully. So for me, yeah, it's got to be that kind of difficulty.
So given the way that this thing works, right? It's going to be open, especially right off the bat. Like imagine the server first. There's going to be a ton of guilds that are going to go after server first for getting one of these guild castles. The guild that has the most DPS on this last boss is going to be the one to capture the keep. So you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be guilds that are going to be just hauling butt to get geared up, get leveled up to be able to do it. I guarantee you day one, guilds are going to zerg this thing and test it out and see like, okay, is this a Guild Wars 2 type of a boss that's going to take 40 people to take down? Or is this like an ESO world boss that you could solo? When you are the
Dovahkiin. Can you imagine if that was it? You just roll in there as like, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but we now own a castle. So we're going to need to move.
Right. But I mean, you can guarantee that. And the way I look at this is like, a toddler with their parents. They're going to walk up and they're just going to poke the bear and see how many pokes the bear can take before the bear freaking smacks them. That's how, and no, I'm not condoning spanking your children unless they deserve it. I mean, there is that. But you know that the players are going to test this out. They have to be able to see. I just inadvertently got yellow flagged by Sonny.
It's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, right? Like out of his way.
It's totally unnecessary parenting advice mid.
You told him to do that. Do you remember? You said, oh, no, you're missing an opportunity. What was it, 2 episodes ago? You miss an opportunity. I give unsolicited advice all the time.
I do not give parenting advice on this one.
No way I told him to do that.
You totally did.
If your kids are acting up and they deserve it, they're about this tall.
Oh, moving on.
Okay. We're moving on, you guys. Guilds are going to test this thing out. So when you're asking me my opinion about how many players it should take, I would say it has to be standard raid group size, at least. You know there's going to be PvP taking place here. I think it should be inherently difficult to capture a guild castle. Whatever is there, whatever NPCs are there holding the guild castle upon launch of this game have obviously been strong enough to hold that castle until the arrival of a bunch of folks who are barely learning magic. We just learned that the essence is a thing when we step foot on Vera. It's gonna take some time for us to get used how to wield it.
We tripped and fell through a portal. We shouldn't be taking over.
I was just picking flowers and I tripped over this glowy thing. Yeah. So I think that and the other thing I really do want to see, I think it should be very, very difficult to capture. I also don't want to see a Zerg be able to take it down. I want to see mechanics here. So that's my personal thought.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that it's like the way that this is set up is super weird. First of all, that you have this server, right? That will be in perpetuity. Okay. Let's assume that the server is designed to stay in the game forever, right? But this boss exists only once. Once that boss is gone, the system is built that the guild then either loses it to another guild or defends it. There's no boss that comes back. It is a one-time thing. So it needs to be crazy hard. It needs to be something where when someone takes out one of these things, it's a big deal because we will never see that boss again, ever, right? Unless the server is reset, which I don't think that that's a part of the plan, at least nothing that I've seen. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think it needs to be just epically hard. And certainly not like Zergable, right? Just like crazy. Somebody should have to come up with something big. And when it happens on your server, it should be a big deal. I am, so you guys have worked with me for a long enough time that you know that I'm going to look at some of these things and take a different view on the economy of it. Mm-hmm. I am fascinated by the economy of this, right? Because you have a guild and they set up shop and then they have the castle nodes that are around it, right? There's some stuff about military nodes, but they're buying military things to defend their castle in the upcoming fight in 3 weeks. Well, in order to get that stuff, they are taxing the people around them. Now, if you are the mayor of a node, what is the downside to overtaxing your people?
They're going to revolt.
They're going to revolt. They're going to vote you out. You're going to get kicked out.
It depends on what you're using those taxes for, because you can use those taxes in Ashes of Creation, especially for increasing defenses, hiring NPCs, hiring mercenaries to protect your stuff. Or that money, and I'll let you finish your point here, but that money, if you want to, could go right to the guild that owns it.
Sure. Fair enough, right? Presumably the design is that if you're a crappy mayor, people are going to want to vote you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that doesn't really work in this circumstance because there's going to be a fight for your castle anyways in 3 weeks. So what is the incentive here to not tax everybody at a maximum for 3 weeks? Why wouldn't you? You tax everybody. You tax every node around you at max for as long as you possibly can to build up your defenses, to defend your castle, and then recycle.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong at all.
Well, go ahead, Jibs, because I have a counter to this, but go for it.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so let's say you do that, right? Well, then you're going to have less people you're going to have to really bet that you have a good community to back you up, because then you're going to have less defenders that are going to be, queuing up for that thing. I think he's right, Cash. I mean, if you really wanted to make the gold, I guess that's one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is where one of the main pillars of Ashes of Creation, the risk versus reward, comes in. Because if you are a crappy leader, right?
Yeah.
What you're going to do inadvertently when you're taxing the crap out of people and you're not putting those taxes to a good use, people are going to start turning on you. People are going to start going to other nodes. Those other nodes, it doesn't matter if you're big guilds or small guilds. A lot of small guilds with a lot of good guild perks working together in alliance could take you down, essentially, right? And that is where the risk versus reward comes in. That is where alliances come in. That is where people working together come in to do those EVE Online type things, to subvert you, to plan around you, to take out your caravans. When we were talking about last show, we were talking about the Romans and how they're one of the biggest Zergs in world history. How did they do it? Sonny, you had the perfect answer, because you're right.
Logistics,
supplies. So if those small guilds can start guerrilla tactics, start taking out your supplies and your caravans, they're going to start disrupting supply chains. They're going to start poaching your resources and your economy. There are so many ways in this game, which is what makes the depth of Ashes of Creation so beautiful. There are going to be so many ways to subvert a crappy leader. And if you're right, you probably could pull that off for a few weeks. But if you're looking for long-term leadership of nodes, of a castle, of things for your guild, you're going to have to strategically do it and please your people. Because if you don't, you're going to get unseated.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that works really well for the node. I don't think it works for the castle. The node, you're dead on, and especially the different types of nodes, right? Like the democratic one, for sure, right? The military one's a little trickier. The economic one, yeah, certainly possible. The divine one, nobody really knows on that one. So Ashes of Nearer said those taxes are transported by, and for some reason there's like a pin right in front of it. Oh. The taxes are transported by caravans, which can be attacked and robbed. If the taxes are too high, more people will be pissed and want their money back. Now, that's true, but here's my response to that. Remember, like if you have a 300-person guild and you're looking at a fight that's like 250 versus 250, and all of the tax money goes to that guild, okay, then it's not hard. You aren't making anyone mad that you care about. The only people that are mad are the people that are going to attack your castle anyways. They're coming in 3 weeks. You could set your calendar. You don't have to look and send out scouts like they have an appointment at your gate. So you just tax the crap out of them, defend your caravans, put all the money into ballistas and archers with good glasses, and you just try your best. So
if anybody has an inkling to run against Sonny, you start taking notes because he's gonna be gnarly.
They have an appointment.
Well, anyway, that was just I read this stuff and I'm looking at it. I was like, well, hang on here.
He's not wrong. Look, even in chat, Gone Crazy says, I hate that you're right.
Yep. I do want to make mention real quick about Ashes of Nair. Ashes of Nair comes up with some of the best things that we love to cover in our Twitch chat.
Do.
So thank you very much for giving us some good fodder, because we love to discuss your stuff. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to end on this question on the last portion of it, so we can move on to the next one here. But do you like, and I'm going to Cash first, do you like the weekly caravan delivery idea?
Yes, and just to go over this once again, these are those castle taxes that we're talking about being transported by NPC generated caravans that there's going to be people waiting for under the castle's purview. I like the system, but I think the biggest thing, the most beautiful thing of this system is that these caravans are attackable, and anybody within that node that's a citizen is automatically flagged as a defender of that. So it comes down to a matter of who's online, because people are coming for it. I want to know when these things are launching. Are these launching during the middle of my workday? Because that's effed. Like, they have to be launching. Could you imagine getting that phone call and you are stuck in the dumbest business meeting ever? You're freaking stuck on some stupid Microsoft Teams meeting, and all of a sudden you get this text message. Our guild caravan just launched, and the only response is, oh, fuck.
20 minutes later, it's a GIF that says, broken arrow, broken arrow.
Broken arrow. And you are just moving in your seat. The chief's looking at you like, dude, are you okay? And you're looking at him and you're pale. No, it's not. Your meeting's dumb. So are you.
So I hate Teams.
Teams to start it off with.
This could have been an email.
Yeah, exactly. But in relation to whether or not I like it, I am finding, and this was a great question for us to get a little bit of review on what this was, because admittedly we needed to go back and research exactly what this system was. The more we get questions like this where we research some of the deeper systems of Ashes of Creation, the more I love Steven's brain and the brain of this team.
Yeah.
Bringing this stuff together, because it shows how deep the game is. It scares me a little bit, the depth of the game, because I really want to see these systems polished and working correctly. And it's my hope and my trust in what Intrepid is doing that's bringing all this home for me, because these systems are going to work. I just know it. They'll take some tweaking, but the depth of stuff like this blows my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think that this system is in this game with all the other systems. You start to think about it. Oh, we've got artisanship, we've got nodes, we've got castles and vassals and all the other things that's going on. And not to mention all the other things that's going on in the game, the tavern, the freeholds. I mean, it's just like you just keep going. It's ridiculous.
And nobody even believes that naval combat will be in the game at the beginning, right? But this is like this looming thing. It's like, oh, by the way, we're also going to add Sea of Thieves to this game.
It kind of has to be, because one of the five, right? One of these five guild castles is on an island.
It's true.
It's true. It's naval combat is factored into that.
Yeah.
So if they have, maybe it's not. Yeah, we're gonna release that on expansion 3.
This is gonna be in a big
water
cloud. It's like, ooh, that water is pretty dangerous. Probably want to go over there.
We're gonna hold. We're gonna hold on that. Still holding.
I like the caravan thing. I think it's fun. I think it's actually super fun. And I don't. when I say all the strategy that I would do on it, like honestly, like the way that it's laid out now, that's exactly what I would do. But it is not unfixable, right? You can tweak these kind of things. It's all levers. It's all moving things around. You know, how hard is it for the people to defend the castle? Well, if people are holding castles and they're just like taxing the crap out of everyone and have just a death grip on these things, then they're just going to tweak things. You just can't buy as many ballistas, you know, you can't do as much of this, and the caravans become easier to take down. You know, it's all levers, it's all that kind of stuff. But it is a super fun system. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see what happens with people. I guarantee though, the start, I mean, max tax. Just tax. Push that thing to the full. Remember that scene in The Princess Bride where they turn the machine on and it's like pulls every inch of life out of that guy? That's what the king of the castle is going to do to the peons around him.
King of the castle. King of the castle.
King of the castle. Oh, that's good. That's good. All right. So next question from Axeman says, how much of the environment should remain persistent? If an area is deforested daily, should it over time have less trees until being replanted? Sonny.
I love this question. This is a great question, right? How much deforestation should you allow in this game? It is, this one made me sit back and think like, how much should I let the players really screw themselves on this? Because that's what's going to happen, right? You're going to go with an axe and you're just going to clear cut a whole section of the woods, expecting that the next day there's going to be more woods there. But if there's not, So I am fascinated by this. I think that it should be somewhat punishing. I think that it should be a thing where if you clear cut a forest, that it's not coming back for like a month, maybe, or like three weeks.
Sonny, I live.
God,
I
you're not
live
only a terrible mayor, you're a terrible botanist.
Can you imagine this? Like, okay, well, the game is running seasons, right? So if you clear cut it 1 year, then it shouldn't be full grown trees the next year, right? Let's see if we can do some actual arborist type of stuff here. Maybe you don't clear cut the thing. Oh, here's a great example. If you clear cut the whole thing, then it takes longer for it to grow back. But if you don't clear cut the whole thing, then the trees grow back faster, right? There's an interesting solution to it. I love this question though. You could spend a long time trying to dial this one in.
This one's got to be tested, I think. Like, I don't have an answer, because I'm like, it could be like what Sonny's talking about, and maybe I live in the mountainous winter area, and my family's freezing and dying because Sonny decided to make it where it's a month I can't have any wood for my fireplace. Maybe you shouldn't have cut all the trees down. I needed the wood, Sonny. It's freezing out. My fire needed wood. I think this is going to be something that's definitely going to have to be tested, because I don't have an answer. Like, I don't know. It's got to be, I'd like the idea of punishing, but at the same point, it's like punishing meets fun for gamers. So just like, where does that intersection look like? I don't know.
I'm going to make a dwarf and name him the Lorax, and I'm just going to stand in woods that people have cleared out, giving people dirty looks the entire time, shaking my head.
Oh, that's good.
I think this is an area that could create some conflict, to be honest with you, because when you think about, like, and actually, Axeman asked, okay, should it have less until these trees are replanted? Well, does that mean like the players might have the ability to replant? Like, that's a whole interesting concept / system in itself. It'd be great. My thought is, if something like that is deforested daily, then it should take longer for those things to come in. But what if you were to have the seasons, like you were talking, Sonny, have the seasons affected? So maybe it takes longer for respawns during the winter time or the fall, but in the spring, summer, where things are definitely growing better, the things would repopulate faster, right? But at the same time, does this only apply to trees? Like, what happens with rocks and minerals and ore?
Or
You can't
fish.
you can't regrow that. Or fish. Well, fish can definitely be seasonal.
Oh, I see what you're saying. What
Like,
happens if you mine all the ore or coal out of the ground?
Yeah, you mind all the ore or coal. Like if you want to add some realism into it, like those things take millennia to come back.
Are you wanting 1,000
So-
years, real life years, Cash,
Eons.
before it comes back?
1,000
7
seasons.
hours later.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to it, but does it make, I guess really it's an MMO. So you have to have some resource respawn at some faster rates anyway. It really wouldn't make sense for trees to be on the same plan as ore, especially like rare resources.
You mean
Right.
like the stuff that is there because a meteor hit it like millions of years ago? Is
Yeah.
that what you're
I
saying?
mean-
Yeah. I don't think we can put ore on the actual scale of population.
We need the
can't.
gods to get in a fight again and then just send down
Well,
some
there you go.
meteors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they
Once
don't show
once
up
a
and
season, they just ping, let's just throw some ore out at you.
There you go.
yeah, like disappointed, like you guys are idiots.
Some more ore.
Here's some more stuff for you.
Uh,
But I would really like to see the back end of this and see the statics and the math about how they do it. Like there have been times in games where I will know where these nodes spawn and I'll have a loop. If you're a crafter or a gatherer, the games that you've played where you have a route, right? You have this route, you go around this route and you know exactly where these things are going to spawn. Well, they don't necessarily spawn on a timer all the time. You get a rare one, sometimes that spawns every once in a while, and it's on a random timer where that thing pops up. You just can't plan the thing. So I really would like to see how they do this in the background, where there's a resource, and if it's hit like 5 times in a row, then it responds in a different area on a longer timer.
Yeah, I like
just-
that. I like that a lot. Some of the comments in chat are just absolutely hilarious, though. Like, Nir had another great one. He goes, "Imagine a game like that, though. Finite amounts of ore. So after a while, the only way to get metal is to mine players."
But that's a totally viable concept, because what's going to happen in your node when you are gathering resources for your quests in your node? What are they called? Commissions?
Yeah.
When you are doing commissions for your node and you see some freaking swinging D from a node that's he's not even a citizen and he's in your area, I'm sorry, that guy's going to die, because I'm going to type in chat, "Hey guys, there's a guy, he doesn't belong here." I'm going to totally Karen that dude to get other people that come out there and kill him and let him know. This is, oh no, you got to go. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. So, but that's viable.
All I'm thinking about this is like, do you want dragons? Because this is how you get dragons, right? Just sitting on piles of gold in their castles.
King of
Am I
the
being
cast.
overly passionate about this?
It's a great
Sorry.
question. It's a great question. And it leads us into the next question, which was from Tested Weevil.
Okay.
Because we're getting into crafting, and it says, how deep would you like to see the crafting system go? We know there's gathering, processing, crafting as a path currently, but with each of those parts, how much time and effort should be spent in game? Now, the last part of the question is kind of a tough one. How much time should be spent in game on crafting? Oh, that's so player specific, right, JB?
Yeah, it's very player specific. How deep should the systems go? Well, it depends on the player you ask. If you're talking like Cash for SWG versus like somebody who's playing, I don't know, pick a game, SWTOR, which really wasn't super in depth,
No, it was pretty simple.
Pretty
It was
simple.
shallow, I would say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But with each of those parts, how much time and effort should be spent in game? Well, I think it should feel like you've earned it. I think it should feel like an achievement, like it really should feel like it's something has good in depth. It just it should feel like by the time you're said and done, like, wow, I've achieved something. Like when Cash talks about Lore Master being one of his, favorite achievements. For me, I feel like, it doesn't need to be like 3,000 quests worth of like, like crafting. But, like you should have that feeling. You should have that, wow, I've accomplished something.
Cash, how deep does the crafting system need to go?
Am I that predictable that you could call out that I'm gonna want SWG
100%.
type crafting?
Yeah.
Well, you'll be happy to know that Star Wars Galaxies is one of the inspirations for Ashes of Creation. So there's that. Yeah, it's exactly the example that I had. It's probably I'm not a massive crafter, and I've kind of been okay with that over the years, but I do remember loving crafting, resource gathering, and all that stuff in Star Wars Galaxies. As I've already told the story on a previous show, how I used to make the best stim packs on my server until somebody else made better stim packs on my server and made me work harder. But with Star Wars Galaxies, they had everything. It was the full gamut, and I'm very happy to say that I see Ashes of Creation doing the same thing. There was resource surveying. There were various types of resources with different qualities. There was the ability to enhance your item quality in certain ways. There were crafting tools, assembly of your items, experimentation for better items, which was huge. Experimentation in Star Wars Galaxies was super fun. And then, of course, the schematics that you can get that are going to require different types of resources and quantities. So how much time and effort should be spent in game? It should be as much as the player wants, truly. And the more time you spend, the better you get at it, the better your stuff is, the more people want your stuff. That's what makes crafters coveted and known across servers. And that is what I think Ashes is trying to bring back. I think that's what a lot of players want again. If you want your artisanship to be your main gameplay loop, then you should be able to do that. But if the rewards that you get from crafting, they need to be commensurate with the effort that you're putting in. So if you want to be a crafter and a merchant, you should be able to do that as your gameplay loop.
I find it hard to disagree with that. I think that the answer for me is like all of it. Like there should be almost no limit to how much time in game you can spend crafting. And the example I'm going to give you is animal husbandry. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Animal husbandry. Say it with me. Mendelian genetics. Dr. Burns made a video on this. It came right from Steven's mouth. Mendelian genetics, meaning like the combinations are just going to get infinitely deep to the point where you could have very, very specialized animals that are very, very rare because it's just recessive genes, right? So if that's the situation, that's the whole game for some people. Some people are going to level up enough that they can get a hold of, well, a freehold. Good luck with that. And then they're going to get that animal husbandry game going, and that's it. Say goodnight. Now they are a full-time horse breeder, and that's all they're going to do. And that's super cool because the kind of stuff that they're going to be able to do is just going to be wild. And they will certainly have earned it because, I mean, the amount of time that could be spent on something like that when you have those kind of infinite possibilities, it just could be endless. So yeah, I love that. I think that crafting should be like that. It should be something where you just don't have a bottom to this pit. You just keep going. And if that's your gameplay loop, then who cares? Like, what do I care if somebody has their gameplay loop in crafting and that's it? I've had my gameplay loop in auction houses before and that's it. And I loved it. I had a great time. So
those folks they're going to be there. And those are going to be the folks that you depend upon for the things that you need for your character. And I think that's an important part to mention. There will be folks on the server that you gravitate to because you know that they're the best at something. And to be the best at something in Ashes, you are going to need to spend a majority of your gameplay loop doing those things. It's admirable. It's there. I remember in SWG, going to those certain weaponsmiths or those certain vendors that you know had the best stuff. And it was awesome, you guys. It's fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And you know, the systems are there because they said that the craftable gear should be the best stuff in the game. When you set that out, you just put a target out there and it's going to be great. So JB, taking this one, I don't know how we did this, but these questions are really dovetailing nicely into each other.
Yeah, they kind of are, aren't they?
But here's the next one. How much development time do you think should be put towards a mechanic that don't contribute to the core progression / gameplay loop of the game? This is from Koala. So like things that are fun, but not necessarily part of the main story of your game, like tavern games, mini games, other events that are a lot of fun that don't necessarily, you know, they're not crucial to your character's development.
I mean, like, I feel like that's like a studio call, you know, like ultimately like they know the schedule they need to hold to, right? And that's like the goal for them is to get it out by a certain time to, you know. So I feel like that I don't have this, like I like my opinion on this really is, I don't know, like it just feels weird giving it like because I'm not making it. But for me, I would just say, you know, like they've got a time schedule and a timetable they're looking at. And I'm assuming that they're probably looking at, you know, like they're trying to stay to that. So they're probably trying to gauge how much involvement and creation with these, kind of these supplemental gameplay loops that they're adding to the game, like the tavern games and stuff. So for me, I guess I would just say, you know, like, main core game first and supplemental second. I mean, but even that doesn't feel right saying, like, you know, like that's why you have teams for this, you know? So like there's teams for different portions of the game. And so I think for me, really, like, you know, as long as all teams are, as long as all teams are succeeding, then at the end of the day, like, you know, like then keep moving forward, go for it, you know, just
I
have
think
at
this
it.
is one of those things with an MMO that really defines the genre, because you can have an MMO that has all of the main quest, character development, you know, action around that stuff, and none of the other stuff, and it feels empty, right? It feels like if you haven't added the other stuff to an MMO, you're playing like a weird linear RPG and not the rest of it. So those other things to me are important. They're maybe not quite as important as making sure that the class, you know, has something to progress its way through the levels, but they're not unimportant. Things like tavern games are important. You want to have that kind of stuff to be able to play with friends in the downtime of the MMO. Otherwise, it's really not an MMO. It's just, you know, a single player linear path that sometimes you have to group up to accomplish. You know what I'm saying, Cash? It's hard to explain, but without those things, you lose the flavor that makes a good MMO.
I think with things, you know, like tavern games or mini games, if they're promised, then yeah, they should be there at launch. Am I going to, you know, riot if they're not there at launch and they maybe become like a side project and get patched in at a later time? No. I think the priority should be main, like you were saying, like main game systems. I think the main game system that needs to work is combat. If combat doesn't work, they will lose people. Look what happened with Throne and Liberty's test they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the combat was too static. It was dumb. And they had to go back to the drawing board and fix combat for people to even play that game.
Yeah.
So core systems need to be in place before some of these smaller things, I think, are really concentrated on it. You know, I think Jibs was mentioning, like, if it's a small team that can pull this off, then that's awesome. If it can be done quickly, then why not take the time to deliver on an aspect of the game that was advertised?
Yeah. I don't know, JB, just a final thought on that. You think that, I don't think any one of us really think that like you should have a tavern mini game before you figure out whether or not mobs can be beaten like fluidly in combat, right?
Yeah.
Like we all agree that there are things like that, but I don't know. You got any final thoughts on this one, or is that pretty much it?
I mean, like, I feel like that they know what they're doing with this and their time development. I mean, I was looking at the YouTube videos, and we're looking at what, every bit of 7 years now the game's been in development. I feel like they've got a really good timetable down. You know, they've got their stuff together on it. Cash, what do you think?
I'd have one more point on this. I just have a question to throw out to you guys, as if you know. But is fishing considered part of this question as a mini game?
Well, the tough one with fishing is that it's like a profession too, right?
Yeah,
I believe fishing is a profession. I'm right on
no,
that,
no.
right?
You're right. And actually, thank you for reminding me on that one, because it is a profession that you can get. Because if fishing was part of this, then I'd be like, F everything I just said. Yeah.
But fishing tournaments is a good thing, right? Like a fishing tournament might not be.
Yeah, but that's an RP thing. That's something that we can. This is
my point.
Yeah.
Is that these things are what make MMOs, right? If you don't have any of this stuff, it's not an MMO. I think it's important. It's not as important as combat. Don't go crazy. But it is important. Otherwise, you have a very flat, lifeless world. You need these kind of ancillary things to exist, to allow people, to give them the tools to have fun. If there's no tools, you know, they'll have to try harder, and some of them will give up. So
you just want Baron Poker. You want Baron Poker.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
So what, Baron Poker?
Yes, 1000%.
The rest of the server does not want you to get Baron Poker. I'm just throwing that out there right now.
And that's how he started ruling in econ mode.
I'll buy him a drink. It'll be great.
Yeah, you buy him a drink so they go all in.
If there's some form of poker in this game, there will be no Sonny being a mayor. He will not own a tavern.
No.
He will be in the freaking saloon.
He'll be that guy with he'll have all his clothes like custom tailored with gold trimmings and gold teeth and a.
Probably be more likely that I look like Doc Holliday near death.
Yeah.
I haven't left the table in 72 hours.
I'm in my prime.
All right. All right, Cash, we got one question left. Do you want to ask it?
I do. This one, again, is from Axeman. And this one is more of a fun question, but it was about making characters. If you could make a character for one of your fellow hosts that they would never pick for themselves in Ashes of Creation, what would it be and why? And Jibs, I'm going to go to you first on this. Are you going to be nice about this, or are you going to totally throw us under the bus?
Well, initially, because of our friendship, the very first thing I thought when I was thinking about this during the day was I'm going to be a jerk to both of you and pick something awful that I know you would never play.
Isn't that the question?
Appalled.
But then I thought, no, I really want to think like, okay, well, and so I thought for Cash, a bard. For Sonny, a rogue.
Oh. Really?
You got to say why.
Why? Because I feel like it suits you both, just in a different gameplay loop style. But I feel like you both could do it.
I mean, a rogue would be legitimately something that I might actually enjoy. I probably wouldn't pick it for myself, though. You're right. But I think that I would actually kind of enjoy that.
A bard for me, I think you just happen to pick it at a right time for me, because as I said on the last show, I think I'm going through The Name of the Wind right now by Rothfuss. And I love Kvoth's character. Like, if you guys have ever read that book, like Kvoth he's not a bard, but he's a thespian, very much close to that. So okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy bard.
Oh, okay. Who's going next?
Sonny, what about you, bud?
Okay, so I mean, it's just so easy as far as the races go, right? Like, you make JB play a wood elf, and you make Cash play a dwarf. Just be perfect on that one. As far as the classes go, I think like oh boy, like to make JB play a cleric would be really something, because I know that he has always kind of wanted to do that, but never really wanted to commit to doing it.
That's accurate.
Everybody knows that clerics are always like, healers are valuable in PvP. Everybody wants a healer, but it is hard work to get good at that thing. And so to force somebody to do it and be like, look, this is you have to do this if you want to play this game. I know that JB would get good at it. And so this might be the literally the only way to do it. You might never do it. So
to force each other.
The wood elf thing is just that's vindictive.
Just not going to happen.
But for Cash, I think that the answer would be a tank. And I think that would be something where same logic, right? Like you force a guy to do something that he's always looked at and had a lot of respect for, but would never actually do it himself. So you force Cash to be the tank, and it'll be wild, right? Like, I don't know how you guys would do it. Like, I think that you may revolt in the first few weeks, but like eventually, if that was your only choice, then I'm sure you'd be good at it.
I'm pretty sure I'd fall asleep as a tank. And then that party would wipe, and they'd be mad at the tank.
Oh, that's funny.
But the one thing I am used to, I will say before I reveal what I chose for both of you, I am used to getting blamed as a healer for the death of the party. So as a tank, yeah, I totally get that. And and then you go solo because I like to quest. So I go to quest and it takes me 47 minutes to kill a regular mob.
That would be tough for you, yes.
That would be super hard.
That would be tough.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like those choices. I didn't do you guys dirty at all when I chose these. What character would I make for my fellow co-hosts that they would never pick for themselves, and why? I went off of you guys' personalities, is what I did for this. So, Jibs, you're going to be a dwarf paladin, which is a tank cleric. I know you've always thought about being a healer, so I could have gone cleric tank, but I went tank cleric because I know that you like to tank, you like to control the battlefield, and without trying to get too corny, you do have a divine light about you. So to me, that would be you. And you probably won't end up picking that because you are more of a brawler type, whoop the crap out of somebody as fast as possible. And every time we've talked about you making a paladin, it's your freaking class. In World of Warcraft, like you never pulled the damn trigger.
I know.
So there's that.
It's true. There's a lot of truth in that one.
I feel like I now need to go do like an introspection after this episode. Figure out my life.
Yes.
Oh, that's what. Wow. Okay.
I want to
We're
go
all
home.
here to talk to you about paladins.
Hi everyone. My
This
name's
is a safe
Jibs.
space, JP. We want to talk to you about paladins.
We're going to sell it to you.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
I went to go. Yes. Oh.
Sleaze Bagano.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, so Sonny, for you, I chose a human magician, which is a bard mage.
I can
And
see
the
him
reason
doing
I
that.
did this is two things. So first of all, you were an entertainer at heart, hands down. Even when we have like show meetings, like you are just the center of freaking attention because you're good at it. So there you go. You're a bard. And then the second thing is you love playing music like in real life, and Jibs, you do too, but I chose that for Sonny. You love playing music in real life and you love swinging wands. So bard mage for you
I do.
is perfect.
You know, the irony of that, though, is that the magician of the 64 potential classes, the magician is like maybe the leader in the clubhouse for me right now.
Oh,
So, like,
okay.
Kid you not, like that one is a big one for me. It might go the other way though, because the primary mage and secondary bard is a sorcerer. I worry a little bit about the solo thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I worry about the bard being a primary with my game style. I don't know. It depends. We don't know a lot about the bard yet. So, maybe
Dude,
that
you know
comes
what?
around,
What I was really thinking for you, honestly, it's not like I have any power over what you roll, but a bard rogue or rogue bard
yeah,
for you would be perfect. If I'm thinking role play for you, for how you want to play the game, a freaking bard rogue would be perfect.
bard rogue would be hot.
What's
That'd
the
be
name of
super
that?
Cool.
Do we know?
It's called a trickster.
Oh, that's you, Sonny. Dude,
It's
That's
so
you.
good, right? Again, the names on that chart are so good.
They're awesome. And the only reason that I didn't pick that for this is because I figured you might go that route. So I chose the mage instead.
Well, the magician,
So.
the name, the magician is just, it's spectacular. I gush about this chart all the time, just simply for the names. The names are so good. Like the thought in there.
they really are.
And
It's amazing.
I love that you said that, because every single time we go back to this chart on the show, we have a hell of a good time talking about whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember, like when we do the, hey, what's this and this?
We're gonna play
And
that.
we try
game
and
again.
guess it. That's some of the funnest shit we do. It's super fun. So I love this question. It's a great question.
It's a great question, right? I love it. I think it would be. I think it's gonna be super fun. So I don't know. I'm not a big alt guy, but like when we do the alpha, I think we're just gonna have to. I think that, we're just gonna be playing anything that our heart desires that day and just see how it goes.
You guys
So-
can suck it, because I ain't going tank. No.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, everybody, this was Live at Happy Hour number 3. I think it was number 3. I'm hoping it's number 3. I'm saying it in the whole episode. But anywho, thank you so much for tuning in, enjoying the episode. If you did, let us know how we're doing, whatever podcast app you're using or YouTube comments. If you're enjoying your time here, just let us know. We sure do appreciate it, and share the show with a friend. And we actually have a 5-star review here. And this is from Spinward from Canada. Coming in hot with an updated review. He says, the LoreForged team are fantastic podcasters. It's like hanging out and listening to a bunch of your friends shooting the breeze about your favorite game. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that? Now, this is his update to it. 36 episodes in so far, and the show is still amazing. In fact, it keeps getting better. Today's one of my favorites. Well, thank you, Spin. It's very nice of you.
Thank you, Spinwards.
Yeah, that was very kind. And of course, you can always call us 516-875-1776. Don't forget, you can email us loreforgedhq@gmail.com. Sonny.
You can go to LoreForged.com to find all of the links to our Ashes of Creation content. And remember, that is where the role-playing link is for the Discord for the role-playing community, which is super cool. And we talked about it at the beginning of the show. So if you've forgotten by now, go to LoreForged.com and you can check that out. They are very friendly and welcoming. YouTube.com/LoreForged. That is where, is it /LoreForged? I thought it was /LoreForged HQ. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe we should check that link.
The YouTube?
Is the YouTube just LoreForged?
It's at LoreForged.
Oh, that's what it is.
There you
It's
go.
At
It
LoreForged.
forced us to do that. So
Oh,
yeah. Thanks,
you know,
YouTube.
no, I'm not getting into it.
Thanks, you.
Go to youtube.com/@LoreForged, and you can see all of our YouTube stuff. There's all sorts of super cool YouTube things out there. Twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ. We are going to be streaming whatever we can until Alpha 2 comes out, and that is going to include Manor Lords and the poor developers. I was just talking to Cash about this. The poor developer of Manor Lords, it's not a big studio. He is freaking out because his game is at the top of the wish list in all of Steam. And he's like, oh God, this is too much pressure. I thought, I had a lot of people say, you're going to love playing this game, Sonny. Have you looked at Manor Lords? And now it's gotten to the point where everyone I know is I'm playing Manor Lords. Screw you. We're all playing Manor Lords. So this developer is probably losing his mind right now about the amount of pressure that he's under for a launch tomorrow. And finally, Patreon. Thank you very, very much to the patrons, our most beloved crew of people that put together this show for us by simply asking questions We love you very, very much, and you guys provide, for me at least, my favorite shows. These are my favorite shows. So thank you so much, and we really appreciate your support. If you want to go to patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ, you can get access to all of our stuff early, as well as the happy hour channel in our Discord and the State of the Owl, which is our once a month behind the scenes show that we do live. Next month we are going to do it live. I think we're working on the date right now, but the next month we are going to do our State of the Owl live.
Yeah.
We'll have a date for you. It's gonna be a banger.
Yep.
Cash.
Yes, it is. We also have some really fun stuff that we've been talking about doing, including shall I say it? Yep, gonna do it right now. A whiskey social for our patrons.
Yeah.
Where we go in there and we just shoot the shit and we make some Yellowstone-sized pours and we just hang out.
Smaller glass.
I am too, because I'll definitely be slurring my words. Anyway, friends, if you're looking for getting announcements of what we're doing at LoreForged, then follow us on Twitter or X. You can follow our Instagram page, which is really fun. Sunny's putting some fun stuff up there. My new job has me like completely off of social media right now, so I need to get back in the loop and have a little fun on Instagram. If you are looking to come and chat about Ashes of Creation and maybe play some games with us, then join our Discord community. It's gonna be fire and it's gonna be hopping. We have some new Discord members that we want to say hello to. Of course, the eloquent Dez joined us this week. Trent and Toast Deletes. Everybody is invited to join us. Doesn't matter what your walk of life is. We don't care. We just want to talk about Ashes and hang out, make some friends. So come join us.
That's right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for, again, just push and play and listen to the episode. We hope you have a wonderful week. Truly do. And we can't wait to see you right here next week on LoreForged. Take care, everybody.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventurers.